Racing's tough business altogether. You know, when I very first started racing, the one thing everybody tells you is you don't have money, you're not going to make it anywhere. You know, I grew up in a very middle-class family with 6 kids. We did some go-kart racing when I was young, but the moment, you know, I got older, we just couldn't do that anymore. In 2010, I bought a sprint car with $3,500 that I saved up for a year. It took me another year to put a motor in the car, and we went to racing. That first year, I didn't use a jack. I didn't have a jack. I didn't have a spare tire. We didn't have spacers for the rear axle. We just went to the racetrack with what we had, hoped we didn't pop nothing as far as tire-wise, because I knew that I couldn't do anything about it. We went to racing basically for a living. I don't really know how else to say that. I worked a job, but it wasn't enough to supplement a full income, so I used racing to do it. I want the non-wing stuff to work here in Texas because this is home for me. In that, you know, 2015 came around and everybody told me that non-wing would never work in Texas because they just don't have that. I just thought, well, it's the same thing I've heard my entire life. It'll never work, so I thought, why not try it and make it happen? We put a little group together, got a few people together on Facebook, really, and sold a bunch of shows, and then we tried it, and it was successful right off the bat. We had 17 cars, I think, at our very first race. The series is growing. 2015, I think we averaged 19 cars a night. I think in 2016, we were up around the 21 car a night mark. This past year, we're around 24 or 25 a night average. You know, I don't call tracks like I was when I very first started. They call me and asking for shows. It's pretty awesome. At the end of this year, I knew that I no longer wanted to do what we were doing. I knew that I wanted to move into a direction and try to grow. We're going to go to a no rules package, and we're going to sanction with POWRi. We have no rules on the motor, basically no gasoline, and whatever else you can come up with, you can stick it in a race car, you can run it with us. I think it's the way of the future. In my opinion, a sprint car becomes overpowered at a certain point. Horsepower is really not that expensive to achieve if you have no rules to work with. The 410 stuff, there's so much of it laying around. I also think there's a lot of old modified motors, type of stuff laying around that a guy can go get out of the shed and put in a sprint car and come race. We're going to go to a 94 only, stamped left rear, stuff like that, trying to keep from hooking up. And I think that'll even the playing field across the board. I think a 305 will be just as competitive with a 410 as a 305 will with a 305. The promoting side, it's enjoyable because I get to see a guy take his first win. I get to see guys race that just weren't going to get a chance to race. It does take a lot of money, but if your passion's deep enough and you're willing to work hard enough, you can outwork all the rest of that. I did that, so I know anybody else can.